So instead of avoiding his attacks, I will just stand still and eat all these shots. 20k health from our ally for 1.5 million damage. That's pretty crazy. Hey, I'm Spud. Today in Expedition 33, I want to show you another cool build for Maelle. You definitely need to try this build. It's awesome, cool, and extremely flexible. Every build will start with weapon. And again, this is a build which is pretty flexible. One of the first weapons that you can utilize this build on is Stellum, but later in the game you can go with Wall Sterum. Main idea is to actually find a weapon that scales with vitality and agility. So technically you can even play this style with stuff like Cellum, which is a lot earlier weapon in the game, if I recall correctly, or basically again any other weapon that you will find that scales with vitality, defense and agility. This stats will work, because look at our attribute scaling, I'm basically maxed out at vitality, defense and agility. Even though that my weapon right now scales with luck. Technically you definitely can scale defense, luck and vitality on this too. But hear me out, what I'm actually looking for. I'm looking to max out our health, our defense and at the same time our ability to act more in a row. So agility gives us speed, it gives us a little bit of defense, defense gives us defense basically, and vitality gives us health. That's like main stuff, and that's why we want weapons which basically scales with vitality and agility. So endgame version is Wall Sterum, it's super good and the weapon I based this build on. Still again it's pretty flexible. That's our skills, and let me show you what's our strategy actually. And main idea is to actually again act fast, act first and as much as possible. You probably saw some Maelle builds and all of them would base around virtuous stance for extra damage. This one is extremely difficult. Yep, recently I just beat the game with no dodge and no parry. I basically never parried, never dodged in the whole game, and I beat it with the almost same build but a little bit different. This one is next step. So yeah, coolest part, technically you don't need to have extremely precise dodges, parries. You can fail a lot and still be successful. So look here, we got Spark, Burning Canvas and Rain of Fire in my first opening stage. Technically, you just want to pick, do you want to use Rain of Fire or you want to use Burning Canvas? Most of the time it will be Burning Canvas into Spark, then Rain of Fire into Spark. And technically you want to always go with Rain of Fire into Spark and rotate them, because Rain of Fire will apply burn, but in defensive stance it will apply 2 more burn per hit, so basically you will stack a lot more burn. Spark on other hand will apply more burn if you are in offensive stance right now. So basically we are rotating offensive and defensive stance, and we always want to finish in defensive stance most of the time. Let me show you example of the first turn. It will be Burning Canvas, we're shooting with multiple strikes, doing some damage, and as you can see we're healing a ton, we're healing like crazy amount of health. At the same time we will continue with Spark right now, and Spark will switch us to defensive stance. Again we're healing a lot, we're healing quite a lot, and probably these guys are too useless for me right now. Oh my goodness, look at this heal. So we need a boss to showcase this stuff, this broken stuff. Again, main idea is to sit in defensive stance all the time. Defensive stance is just so good. In defensive stance you will take less damage, so instead of avoiding his attacks I will just stand still and eat all these shots. As you can see he hits for quite a lot, but as you can see I don't care, my health is still at maximum. So what I will do nothing, I will just skip turn, I will give him ability to act basically, and you can check how broken this build is. Basically we're taking damage, we're starting a turn and we're healthy again. Yeah, that's the main idea, and that's why health and defense is so powerful. Yeah, it's extremely powerful stuff. Still, what's the idea behind all the skill rotations? Again, basically we want to rotate skills because we're using weapons that will give us bonuses from rotating stances. So technically we want to always use Burning Canvas and Spark to rotate stances and get these bonuses. However, there's also cool skills on the right part. It's my extra skills that we use in different circumstances. For example, we get AGG, AGD. Oh my goodness, it's so hard for my potato English. It's like French English word, I guess. AGD, probably something like this.
English, motherfucker! do you speak it?
Anyway, it will give us ability to protect allies by taking damage in their place for 2 turns. I will show you, like in the next example, how cool this is. And this is pretty like flexible slot. You actually can play solo with this build with one character and switch the stuff. You can even forget about the skill and use something that you like more, maybe sword ballet or something like this. So again, that's the core of the build. The right part is flexible, you can have fun, don't worry. Experiment and have fun, that's my main tips for you if you're playing RPG games. Anyway, Revenge. High fire damage, 1 hit, damage increased for each high hit received this turn. That's kinda the skill that we can use greatly if we'll take loads of damage, and also break stun. For example, enemy is stunned, almost primed for stun, so we can break it. Revenge is really nice and damage will be increased by a lot if we take hits. So right now it's 76k. I will let him kick me a few times this turn, so let's eat some shots. We are not in defensive stance right now, and as you can see, we're taking a lot more damage. That was the key. So basically, I'm basically eating his shots, but I will do one parry, recover a little bit of health in this parry, and hit for a lot. Now he's using Stormblood. Oh no, I'm again messing around and I can't avoid these crazy attacks. Geez, 15k damage in 1 turn. But look at me now, 9k health. So that's basically how it works. He hit me for quite a lot, but Burning Canvas is our starter. So we're doing a bunch of attacks and healing on these attacks, and we're on the full health again instantly, and we're switching back to our defensive stance. Again, that's the key, switch back to defensive stance. I'm full health, he is burning. He has a 20 stacks of burning basically. I will just stand still and I will eat these shots because I know he can't defeat me in this one single combination. So we ate a bunch of shots. Right now we get 2 options. We can apply loads of fire with Rain of Fire. We can go with Burning Canvas. Honestly, that's actually completely irrelevant and the skills is almost the same for us. They're applying the same amount of burn, so technically you can even forget about using Rain of Fire and switch it to something else. So it's in reality it doesn't matter like a lot. Again, we got pretty free slot. But now we will use Revenge. Again, we took a little bit of damage for the last turn, so Revenge will be probably pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty nice hit. And again, he's burning, he's trying to deal some damage. I will try to maybe like parry, but funniest part, again, we can take hits, we can fail with the parries. If I'm successful with parries, I will do like a lot of cool stuff, but if I'm not successful, I don't care because next turn I will heal it anyway most of the time. That's extremely tanky, extremely overpowered, cool and fun build. We also can do basic attacks for insane amount of extra heal, and that's basically the key for victory, the key for our today's victory. So you can still go into virtual stance with our gradient attacks, of course. That's also a nice way to deal extra damage in the next turns. And this build is extremely good if you're just learning how to parry, how to like deal stuff, because it gives you ability to fail parries, take some shots and still be. And right now you probably may think that there's one big flaw in this strategy. We don't have really high damage scaling. Again, our main idea is to scale damage through burns. We want to apply as much burns as possible and burn target down. But actually there's a secret how to scale damage even more. I just turned one skill, one Pictus to be more precise, so we don't have this right now, and I can showcase like basic combinations. And the one single reason to use Burning Canvas and Rain on Fire in one combination basically, that some enemies will be vulnerable to fire. That's why having this stuff against them is extremely powerful, because you're dealing fire damage with Rain of Fire, and Burning Canvas deals void damage. It's fine against basically any enemy, so it's pretty okay-ish. So stuff that was turned on is Draining Cleanse, that consumes AP to prevent status effects, and it basically gave me inability to use my ultimate attack Pyrolis that costs 9 AP, because Stellum every turn will apply burn to ourselves, but at level 20 while in defensive stance we'll receive heal instead of burn damage. Basically it's another source of healing every turn. Again, that's how our build came and will become completely broken, overpowered in case of survivability. Still, again, as I told you, my go-to weapon with this build is Wallsterum. Let me switch to it. And here's the idea. Every time we switch stances we regain 1 AP. That's a lot actually, considering like our skills will cost not a lot most of the time. If we will be stanceless for any reason and will have no AP, base attack will switch to defensive stance again. That's nice in mid game. Basically, when you have your weapon level 10 or around, you will have some problems with AP from time to time, and you will need to deal normal attacks. At this point of the game, that will be like a good part, but you will receive this weapon around level 15 in Act 3, so technically you already will have ability to level it up right to level 20 plus. That's where Volsterum will give us ability to recover 5% of health on stance switch. Now look at this full build in action. If you're curious, everything showed on expert difficulty, so it's highest hitting monsters basically possible. And yeah, you can easily face tank them even here. So right now I still will start with burning canvas on, for example, this guy, but right now I got an alley. So the next turn, instead of continuing our attacks, I actually will do something different. And something different will be activate HGD. Yeah, my favorite skill. Basically, this skill gives some bonuses to my ally, so CL just have this rush shell and bonus to attack, and she got 3 turns in a row. That's pretty crazy. However, we're not doing like anything crazy right now. We will destroy like small dude, probably make 1 hit to him, and just wait. Wait, because look, he attacks me. I'm doing basically nothing, like jumping, failing, and doing some stupid stuff from time to time. But mostly I'm just replenishing my health. But again, full health on turn start. Now here's the ultimate. Pyrolysis. 3 hits, 5 burn per hit. In offensive stance, it will apply even more burn. But we actually don't care. It's 9 AP, switch to defensive stance, and there's a lot of fire damage, on top. Still, we will just end in basic defensive stance with Spark and applying 36 points of burn on him. Right now I will take damage for CL on me, and that's the main idea of build basically. If you're playing in a party, you're doing some damage, then you're switching to HGD, you're buffing your party members, and at the same time taking damage instead of them. So while we're taking this damage, we're taking these hits, technically our next part will have increased damage. You're basically seeing how we're taking damage instead of her right now. We just stand in front of her. So I'm gladly take these hits. Allies is protected, and we can do revenge. Yeah, revenge will be nasty and powerful, just like that, with a bunch of heal on ourselves. Still, again, as you can see, it's not like extremely overpowered stuff. You can use other spells in this place. My main idea is to have something that can break and that can go into defensive stance, because I want to end each turn in defensive stance and just scale as much burn as possible on our enemies. That's it. It also very nicely combined with my previous CL build. You can check it on my channel, on pinned comment and in description. This one uses our sacrifice that deals a lot of extra damage to enemies by consuming your ally's health. Look over here, we will use this stuff and we consume 20k health from our ally for 1.5 million damage. That's pretty crazy, considering right now our awesome friend Maelle can instantly replenish all this health probably in a few seconds. Yeah, we got full health right now, and that's completely insanely broken combination, since we're again in defensive stance and CL just abusing health of Maelle to deal some crazy damage. Yeah, that's just insane. But as you can see, this guy is burning and he's pretty pitiful. To tie everything in and finish the build, we actually need to use correct Pictus and correct Luminous in combination. So I guess you will like to see this awesome and beautiful Gamache erasing this body and going straight to my Luminous. So how we use Luminous in Pictus? Basically, it's extremely simple and straightforward. You want to use all Pictus that provide you as much health as possible. Health and defense. So you just go to Pictus, you scale them by health, and you look for the top 3. It doesn't matter what they will give us, but for example, augmented counter will give us a lot of health, a lot of critical rate, and increase counter attack damage. With this build, again, we kinda want to face tank shots, but still we can face tank shots by trying to parry. Therefore, trying to parry and do counter attack damage will be augmented with augmented counter. We will deal a lot more damage with counter attack. That's kinda smart choice. However, I got this energizing parry over here, +1 AP on successful parry. Again, I will try to parry, I will gain AP, insane amount of damage with my high cost spells. Energy Master gives just insane amount of health, every AP gain is increased by 1. It's pretty hard to get this, you need to defeat really like powerful snake, purple snake monster, but it's definitely worth it. And last but not least, I'm using solo fighter right now for 2k defense on top. And yeah, I just tested this build as solo guy. Sometime Maelle is the single person who left in the fight. If allies dies, again this also activates and you will start to deal more damage. That's kind of nice stuff to have. Now Luminous, as you can see, I'm pretty in the late game. I got loads of Luminous, but again, I use this face tanking build, another variation a little bit, to beat wall game with no parry, no dodge. And that's kind of like the main base and main idea of the build. And you don't need 500 Luminous to make this active and make this work. You just need to understand basic idea of what we try to achieve, and then you can pick Pictus and Luminous based on what you have. Again, base idea for Pictus choices is to just have best health possible. More health we have, the more we can face tank and then heal. And we first of all will go to our defensive Luminous. One of the best and most important ones to make this work is recovery. Recovery will recover 10% health on turn start. And basically in defensive Pictus we're looking for everything that will increase our healing and ability to heal with different sources. So you will see here base shield, +1 shield if not affected by any shield on turn start. This gives us ability to face tank one more attack, any damage basically. So if enemy doing not a combination but one single attack, he always will deal 0 damage. Effective heals, double all heals received, very powerful stuff. And also shell, so basically ability to get shell, have this last longer and with more power. Greater shell gives us ability to increase damage reduction with shell by 10%, pretty powerful stuff. And then basically I got healing boon, heal 15% HP on applying a buff. We will apply buffs with different ways, so that's nice stuff. Healing counter, recover 25% health on counter attack. Again, we try to counter attack, we can recover 1/4 of health. That's like most broken part in this game actually. The game scales with percentage based healing, not correct numbers. So it's not like 1k health heal, it's 25% of health. And having like 20k health as me gives you ability to heal for 5k every time you're doing counter attack, 5k every time we hitting burning target with healing fire, 3% health on parry. In case we somehow die, we will revive with 100% health with second chance, and survivor will give us the ability to survive on 1 health once per battle. That's another way to again kinda survive. Sweet kill is also cheap and very good. Recover 50% health on killing enemy, so that's nice when you're just mapping, when you're going and farming someone, you just destroy one guy and recover half of your health instantly. And that's like most important part. Then supportive Luminous is all about gaining AP, and also another one really powerful is burning, so improving our burns and improving our AP gains. Cheater of course is super good. Cheater is just like always plays twice in a row, always play twice in a row, just super OP. For our strategy we're doing offensive stance followed by defensive stance in one turn, and we always stand in defensive stance when we're fighting against enemies. That energy regain some AP on killing enemy, helps against some bosses. And when mapping, farming, double burn, apply extra stack of burn every time you apply 1 stack of burn. This basically makes our skills applying 10 burn instead of 5 burn, which is insane. Here I got a bunch of useless stuff for me right now, but they're pretty okay in the mid-late game when you haven't beaten the game yet. It's energizing attack, basically you gain AP on base attack, so you're out of AP, you're doing this energizing attack, and you get a lot of AP back. That's pretty good. Energizing start, basically again AP. Energizing turn, AP on turn start. Greater powerful, more damage with powerful, greater rush. There's like a lot of stuff like this, but again they're kinda like supportive, they're not needed, so it's like minus probably like 100 Luminous easy. Offensive, again, not extremely important. Most important to have all defensive Pictus so you can survive. While you're surviving you can do whatever you want. In offensive part we will deal 50% more damage if health is below 10%. That's kinda cool because if you drop your health you will deal a little bit of damage and replenish your health instantly. And counter of this, full strength, 25% increased damage on full health. Again, we will be on a full health most of the time, so we will deal more damage on full health. And here is basically a bunch of offensive stuff like breaker, increased break damage and burning enemies, stuff related to burn, to break, to critical strike when you're playing solo. Painted power of course to exceed 10k damage, but it's basically self-explanatory, you want it on every character. Tainted, very nice, increased damage for each status bonus effect on self, shield affinity, increase damage while having shields, and we have this one shield all the time from the turn start. It's just free damage amplification. And if you enjoyed this build, if you're enjoying this face tanking strategy, I actually recommend you to check my full video how I beat the game without parry or dodge. There's no story spoilers, only defeating bosses, and there's time codes of course, so you can skip or stop watching if it will be spoiler for you. I hope you enjoyed, see you in the next videos.